All right, so when you are looking at real estate property, on occasion, especially if you're shopping in condos, you're gonna come across the term special assessment. And I do not want you to skip over this. All right, so what is a special assessment? Well, it usually is kind of Debbie Downer bad news. A special assessment is when you live within a homeowners association and there is a special fee, a special cost or expense that has to be paid outside of, above and beyond your normal HOA monthly expenses. So you've got your normal fees, whether they're paid monthly, quarterly, or annually, and then there's the special assessment. That is the unknown. An HOA special assessment is typically going to be levied when there is something unexpected has happened, right? Above and beyond. So you have a storm that comes through, you have damage to the property that is not covered with the insurance or in your HOA budget reserves. Potentially legal matters, or your HOA association is being sued for something that could be unexpected. Or another less desirable situation might be that your HOA board has mismanaged your budget and you do not have the appropriate funds to pay for what you have agreed to pay for. So technically speaking, a special assessment can be levied by any HOA underneath your restrictive covenant. So it can be a neighborhood HOA association that is giving a special assessment. But typically here in our area in Destin, Florida, with so many condos, we see our major special assessments, the ones that kind of are shock and awe situations within our condos. So a good thing to note that anytime there is a special assessment, it's going to have to be taken to the board and voted on by its members. So if you're a part of an HOA association, it really is to your benefit, if you're not on the board, to at least grace them with your presence every once in a while to keep yourself in the loop of what's going on, what major expenses are coming up, so you'll have a say in the money that you're going to be required to pay. Some examples of special assessments that we've seen here in the local area is we had a local condo association that had probably the heftiest special assessment I've seen in the years that I've been doing this. It was a $50,000 special assessment, and this was a waterfront condo association. It had several towers, and any condo now has to have special structural integrity inspections every couple of years, and this particular condo came out lacking, and they had a significant repair that they had to make in order to come up to the current code and standard. And across the board, every owner in those towers were required to pay $50,000. This did cause significant problems, as you can imagine, especially when it came to selling these condo units. Another example of a special assessment that I've come across here in Destin is a larger resort that has condo units. They provide a great deal of things covered in their monthly assessment fees. Part of that is, their gym memberships, their trash, water, but this particular place also includes cable, as in like cable TV. And something has happened a couple years ago in their contract with the cable company, and they are in a legal dispute. Now, this has been a legal dispute for a couple of years. So the special assessment that comes down to each one of those homeowner associations is paying for the legal fees that is happening in this litigation. In Florida, because of the terrible tragedy of the Surfside condo collapse, we've had a new law come in place. It's SB 4D, and basically this law is a building regulation law that requires condo associations to have building safety inspections done on so many annual basis, so many year basis, depending on actually their location. So waterfront buildings are going to have a little bit more requirements than buildings that are not on waterfront property. And because of the SB 4B, which is a wonderful law and regulation that was put into place, we never want that tragedy to happen again. However, many associations have had special assessments to come up to the standards that this law requires. All right, so moving forward, let's say that your association or interested property does have a special assessment. How is it charged? So just like the assessment itself, the board has to vote on how to collect the money. Oftentimes you can do a one-time payment, and that's probably for a smaller fee. But if it's a larger fee, for instance, like that $50,000 fee, there are payment payment plans that are put into place. Also, some associations even have loans set up, a system in which you can take out a loan to pay that special assessment. So anytime that you are looking to purchase property inside of an HOA association, you need to find out beforehand if there's a special assessment that has been levied or proposed within the last 12 months, because you can see this potentially can make or break a deal and is possibly going to be a heavy negotiation point within writing your contract and coming to terms between buyer and seller. All right, in the state of Florida, if you are writing a real estate contract on the FAR bar contract, your real estate agent is going to want to use a condo writer, which has a very specific terminology when it comes to special assessments. It is paragraph C3, and it talks about special assessments and prorations. It is law that the listing realtor and the seller have to tell you any levied special assessments or any proposed special assessments that have been talked about in the minutes of a meeting or on the agenda within the last 12 months of the effective date of your contract. And then once you have established if there are and if there are not any special assessments, then right below that, you determine who is going to pay for that. Is the seller going to pay for it, or is the buyer going to pay for it? And if it's the seller, they're going to pay it in one lump sum. If it's the buyer, they get to choose whether they're going to continue to do that in installments. All right, fun little tidbit is if the seller does not disclose a special assessment by law, they are required to pay it. That feels a little bit better as a buyer when you don't necessarily hold all the cards. However, a pro tip, no one is perfect. So I always go with the default statement of go directly to the HOA association management and ask, in fact, for meeting minutes for the last year. And I would also ask them directly if there is a special assessment that has been levied or proposed within the last 12 months, and listen to their answer and not just per se the listing agent who we want to trust. We'll give them benefit of the doubt, but also do your due diligence. Well, there are the scary things of special assessments out there. Don't let that stop you from finding your dream property. There are amazing condos out there, and a special assessment might be a really nice way to cover some of those larger expenses and get to share the burden with your neighbors instead of having to hold that all yourself as an individual homeowner. So Jen and I post new videos almost every Thursday. We'll see you then.